I just want us to, for a moment, imagine turning on your TVs at home, or even better still, your mobile phones, and you open your favorite streaming app, whether it's a Netflix, an Amazon Prime, or even better, Afrotales Plus, and you're able to watch content like what you just saw on the screen, a Ghanaian animated film. Okay, films that has characters like what you just saw, characters that look like you and I, characters that speak our language, characters that wear clothes like what you just saw, like a kente, like the Batakari, and even characters that are in scenes or environments that look like, your local neighborhood. I think that's a very powerful thing if you ask me. But for a very long time, personally, growing up, that wasn't something I was seeing, on our screens. The most you'd probably see is maybe a 30-second animated glyco ad for an insurance company, but that was all you could get. And I always wondered, why aren't we telling our stories? Like, it would have been so awesome to see all these Kwekwanansi stories and whatnots, as animated films like we would see from the Western world, but that really wasn't happening. And I was just asking why, and why aren't we telling these stories ourselves? I run a company called Mills Media, and it's a creative firm. I'm someone who is really passionate and excited about our culture, our history, our tradition. It's quite unfortunate that in this part of the world, we see our tradition and our culture to be somewhat fetish and all of that, but I'm of a different view, if you ask me, because I believe if our culture, our heritage is packaged like what you just saw, it's going to be more exciting and appealing, to everybody, if you ask. I remember back in the days where you'd sit by the fireside and you're told stories and folklores by some old woman or some old man, some compound house, by the fireside, under the moonlight, and they're telling you Anansi stories, folklore, and all of that. It's moved from those days to we seeing these stories in storybooks, in comic books, watching them as live action films, animated films, and even, interactive media. That's video games, by the way. And that led me to, start a company that would help us change this narrative. And that's Beth Mills Media sometime in 2016. And the idea was just quite simple. It's to use animation, comics, and games to tell and project the African story, basically, to push our culture to the rest of the world unapologetically. The company, like I said, started as a creative space or a creative firm where we provide creative digital solutions from 2016. And the bigger goal was to one day make films that you and I can go to cinema to watch and not see them as tiny snippets, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and whatnot. But animation, if you do your own research, you'd find that it's a very expensive venture. And so that meant that we would have to find a way, do our research, and most importantly, be able to have access to funding to be able to make these films. This didn't happen until 2019, where we released our very first game, comic book, and a proof of concept of the film Yaa Asantewaa, a 2-minute short. And the idea was for us to use that to raise money to make the lengthy film. That never happened, and so I came to one conclusion, and that was to raise funds personally, gather whatever funds I have put together over a period of time, and take a big risk for a year, do nothing else, and just the film. And guess what? That risk paid off. And so in December 2022, we put out our very first film, which you saw snippets of, and that's Yaa Asantewaa. Yaa Asantewaa was and became the very first 3D animated Ghanaian film to ever go to the Silverbird cinemas. And it didn't just do so, it sold out the entire cinemas, which had never happened before. Yeah, thank you. And it didn't end there, because by then we've been able to, discover a pipeline that works. Remember, I said this didn't happen overnight. It took us quite a while. We went on to produce Rise. We went on to produce The Guardians. Now, these images you're seeing is only a testament to prove that this is content that Ghanaians have always been yearning for, and it's just amazing to see that people would actually come out in their numbers to come see films that were made by Ghanaians, for Ghanaians, and for the world as well. Now, if you remember at the very beginning where I mentioned, or I was asking you to take a guess or imagine if you can watch a locally made animated film on your TV, on your phone, or whatnot, we also went on to build a platform which we call a solution to Netflix for Africa, but for African animation, that is supposed to have all our Ghanaian-made animated content, and not just for Ghana as well, but for creators in Africa as well, so that we'll be able to reach the global audience. I've been doing this for quite a while now, but we've got bigger goals, bigger visions, and the whole point is for us to become a global animation hub. Over the years, gradually, we've become quite known, not so much known here locally yet, but then we're getting there. We've won several local and international awards from the films we make. And also, we also came to the realization that a lot of people, young ones especially, have shown a lot of interest in, studying the arts and science of animation. And so it demanded that we start a training program, which we call SESA, which is the School of Empowering Storytelling through Animation. And the idea is just to train up-and-coming young Ghanaian animators and filmmakers to tell awesome Ghanaian animated films. So I'll just leave with a short note, and it says, let's keep doing what we do best. Let's tell our stories our way, boldly, creatively, and unapologetically African.